Hello and welcome to ZeroXP Webcast. We are normally a show that focuses on Fable, but on today's show we're going to branch out a little bit. I'm Patrick and I'm here with my co-host who holds the record for most times rescued by Lakitu, John.
Hi.
This is an episode we've wanted to do for a while. We believe that Xbox, despite the fact that it has two of the best racers out there, I would say two best racers out there.
Yeah.
We think they could use one more, and I think most people are going to agree with us.
Maybe.
Yeah. So we're going to discuss what we feel like Xbox is really lacking and why there could be an audience for that. Xbox needs a kart racer.
Yep. And while that's not the only thing it's lacking, we just feel like it is a pretty good gap there.
Racing genre, though, I feel established a good kart racer, they'd have it all.
They tried before with, there was the Connect racing game that is slipping my mind, and it was terrible. It was not good.
Yeah. I mean, I think with what they have established, they could put a much better effort.
Oh, for sure.
I know which one you're talking about. I just can't think of it off the top of my head.
Yeah, me either. It's irrelevant anyways.
Yeah. On today's episode, we're going to discuss why now is the time to make a kart racer, where they can draw inspiration from, and what we'd like them to do. So, Xbox has the Forza Horizon, what fans are very familiar with. It goes along that more arcadey route.
Yeah.
It reviews really well. It's a really solid title. Then you got the Motorsport series, which is more simulation for the ones that want something more realistic. And I mean, they both review above 9s. I mean, they're great. They're really knocking it out of the park on those two.
I mean, I agree. I think at this point, Forza has maybe even passed Gran Turismo, which for the longest time was the bar that was set for especially simulation racing game.
They keep trying to kind of go back and fix it a little bit at this point because, I mean, there's been long gaps between releases of that series.
Yeah, and I mean, they're stellar when they come out, but Microsoft has hit a cadence with Forza that, you know, generally up until now, which we are going to have a gap, we've had, you know, Forza proper, or Forza Motorsport, however you want to look at it. And then the next year you would be followed by Forza Horizon, and they would alternate. I would say arguably at this point, though, Forza Horizon seems to be the more popular of the two.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. I mean, I think being more arcadey, it appeals to a larger audience.
I know I've put more time in with, and I'm not a huge racing game fan, so I mean, I may not be the best person to gauge off this, but I put in more time with Horizon than I have.
And there's more variety to those games where you got that open world element, and then you have the races on top of it, and just the way that it's set up, there's just more you can do with it than standard simulation.
You get more of like your stunt jumps and things like that you
discovering
you don't get.
Things in the map. So let's just start with the obvious Mario Kart.
Yes, the kart racer.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
mean, let's be honest.
You know, the thing is Mario Kart is a great series. I think the only one I didn't buy was the original, and that's because we didn't own a Super Nintendo.
Okay.
As great as it is, it does have some shortcomings that I think Xbox would really improve on.
I'm interested to hear this because to me, like, again, I mentioned I'm not really into racing games, but Mario Kart is kind of the one game that I will go out of my way always to play.
It's my favorite racer for sure.
Yeah.
So first of all, Nintendo and online. I mean, that's true. It's not as easy to link up with other people. There's no voice chat where you can get with a group and just talk smack.
Yeah, they're great if you're sitting in the same room, especially if we're talking. I mean, let's talk in terms
it's amazing.
of the Switch.
Split screen. Yeah.
I mean, split screen's great. If you have multiple Switches, it's great. But their online structure is almost maddening at times.
Yeah, it gets really frustrating that it's not as easy to get in the game with friends, and then you got to use the. I don't even know that one has app access. Honestly,
I really don't know because I know in the past you and I specifically have used Xbox Live to chat at times.
Yeah, and that's not good.
No,
that's not good.
I mean, nobody wins there.
Yeah, and it cuts out a lot more. I think Xbox could really create a community with a game like this. For sure.
Yeah. Do lobbies and things like that.
Yeah. But also, which they improved compared to the Wii version, but some of their versus modes are lacking, I feel, compared to Double Dash, which was great.
Okay, you know what? I will. It's funny because when we started this conversation, this show was Patrick's idea, so I'm just kind of following the lead on this one. I was like, where are Mario Kart's cracks at? What are the problems with it? Because to me, it's the top tier echelon of what a kart racer arcade style racing game should be. And if you had asked me 10 minutes ago, I would have said nothing. It's fine. It's a perfect racer. And from a racing standpoint, I mean, it is, but
it's great with the family on a couch.
The battle mode is something that is severely lacking for Mario Kart. We played, especially when I was younger, a ton on Mario Kart 64.
Yep.
Was a big one where the battle mode was great. Double Dash was good, but it reused a lot of the same, I would say, playgrounds, but levels to play. And as great as Mario Kart Deluxe is, or Mario Kart 8, whatever you want to look at it as, I mean,
they're a lot better than the Wii.
I've tried them, but I don't go back to them. They're not ones because they're still kind of race-centric in a lot of ways, and the platforming and whatnot in the original battle modes were just great. You had to have a little bit of strategy.
I don't feel that the level design is as good on these newer ones.
No, that's a really, really good point to bring up. Again, Mario Kart's just such a juggernaut that some of the complaints fall to the wayside after so long.
With Nintendo, a lot of times.
But battle mode was something that I had always hoped since that game launched they would patch in new levels or bring back as DLC, and they just never did it. Not that they needed to. I mean, Mario Kart sells like it's going out of style. But no, that's a great point.
Yep. So now we're going to run down some ideas of where it would make sense for Xbox to take some influence. I think the obvious one right off the bat would be the Forza series, like we mentioned before. They've already got 2. Why not make it a third one?
So are you thinking like a Forza, like true arcade racer with a battle mode?
I was thinking a bit more like, which we can play some here if you're watching on YouTube. You played Blur.
Yes, I played the first Blur. I didn't play the second.
There wasn't a second Blur.
I thought there was
they
a
developed
second.
one, but it got canned.
Okay, maybe that's what it was then.
Yeah, I mean, it showed where more realistic cars could work in a game like that. It had some pretty cool power-ups.
Yeah, it kind of reminded me of, did you ever play Midnight Club Street Racing back
a little
in the day?
bit.
It was a little bit like that, but then it had your, basically Sonic weapons you would use for Blur, I mean. And, I don't remember if I bought the game or not. I just know that I played the heck out of the demo for a while.
I ended up buying it, and the issue with it was it didn't really retain an audience, where I think with Game Pass that wouldn't be as much of an issue, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, now it would flourish on something like that.
And that one had real cars, too. It had Mustangs and different things, and with the way that Forza already has relationships with these companies, they already have the engine in a way which I imagine would help as far as graphically.
I will say while I liked Blur and I didn't mind the realistic cars, I don't know that it would be my first choice for them to do like a Forza version, because I know with a lot of those games, people want to see damage on cars, and part of the stipulations when it comes to those games is those car companies don't want to see their cars getting banged up and demolition derby styled. So I think that might limit them.
It might a little bit, but I mean, they did get damaged in that game.
Yeah,
some of the brands.
Blur would be a good template because I mean, the mechanics on it were smooth. They were good, and it. I'd almost say it felt faster than your general kart racer.
It was. It was definitely, I'd say, a bit more hardcore than Mario Kart for sure, where you could fall behind more, and it did give you ways to help you catch up, but not nearly as strong, which I would like to see.
So, just out of curiosity, I mean, do you think this is a title that should aim for all ages, or one that's going to aim for a little bit maybe kind of older audience? Because I felt like that was also part of Blur's problem is, kids like Hot Wheels, but they don't necessarily love realistic car racers a lot of the time. And that's one of the things about why you see so many, there's Sonic Racing, there's Mario Kart, obviously, there's Garfield Racing, and there's just, it goes on and on and on.
I mean, you definitely prefer it to appeal to a much larger audience, but I feel like this one would definitely be a bit of a not. I mean, 10-year-olds love cars, so
Yeah.
I mean, but it wouldn't appeal to the very young audience as
Right.
much. I feel.
Okay.
But it's an option. It's already established franchise. It feels like this one would be the easiest one to develop. I'm not a developer, but it just feels like
A lot of the tools are already there. Cars
Yeah.
are already built.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, that would make a lot of sense. It'd be the quickest, I think, way to turn it around.
I would say
Yeah.
for sure.
No, I understand. That's good.
And then the second one, which I would be a huge fan of, and they've gone down this route a bit already with the Horizon series, would be Lego.
Ooh, Lego would be fun.
Yeah, I mean, you can make some really cool areas. I know you're familiar with Mod Nation Racers,
Yes.
because the thing is, I've never played it, but on Kotaku, they would do like a best creations every week.
Mm-hmm.
I regulared that. Like, I read that one and looked at it every week.
I remember playing the demo for that one quite a bit. I wasn't playing a lot of PlayStation back then. But the great thing about it was obviously the custom tracks was probably ahead of its time,
Yeah.
I think, in a lot of ways. I think now, especially with game culture the way that it is and creativity, you could really do some neat things there, especially with the Lego base. If you chose that, but even beyond that, I mean, like, its controls were good. It was a solid racer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they switched over later on. They made it like a Sackboy Racing.
Yeah.
Which it still reviewed well and people liked it, but it didn't seem to keep the audience that Mod Nation Racers had.
Yeah, I think the problem with the Sackboy or the Little Big Planet franchise is that there are people who understand it and are able to do more with it and accept it easier than there are those who, because it is cutesy looking, kind of maybe shoehorn it a little bit too much.
Yeah.
And I think that probably hurt it.
And I think people liked racing as Batman, not as much, Batman, Sackboy.
Yeah,
pretty
exactly.
much.
Yeah.
But I think there could be a lot of creativity with that, which Xbox lacks compared to PlayStation as far as games that you can build.
Yeah.
Build things and share things. I think that would be fun. It'd be interesting to see what people create, what kind of tracks they create. It'd create a huge audience, especially with the Game Pass.
Yeah, no, I think that's I kind of lean that way, but I guess we'll get to that later.
Yep. All right, for the third idea, which they've already went this route also, is Hot Wheels.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not as big on that one compared to Lego, but Hot Wheels made some really cool tracks. They'd look cool. It'd appeal to pretty much every age range, I feel like.
Yeah, because I feel like you have more exciting moments maybe with the Hot Wheels track.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. A lot more loops and different
Exactly.
things.
And I mean, like, if you look at games like Grand Theft Auto Online, Grand Theft Auto definitely cribbed some ideas from Hot Wheels.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, and people love it. And if it's done well and it's done tight, I mean, I could see that also being a good way to go.
A little less creativity than Lego, but I mean, if they said that they were making a game like that, kart style, I'd be like, really, all these ideas so far, I'd be like, that's awesome.
So just to keep everybody on the right track here, to make sure I'm following as well. So are you saying that the idea would be to actually use these properties to make their kart racer, or just the inspiration from these properties?
I would say properties, because I mean, I don't think it'll be that difficult. They bring name recognition.
So it'd be
but
like
they've
Forza Hot
already
Wheels and Forza Lego, or
either or. I mean, I could see where it's specifically like a Hot Wheels racer or Lego racers. I would say more that route if you're gonna make a full game based off of it.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, they've already have relationships with these companies, so they make sense. None of it's like, oh no, they're not getting Lego. They did as a DLC.
Yep.
I think they could as a full game.
It was a good-looking DLC too.
Yeah, it looks great. It's pretty amazing what Playground does with these games.
Which is, why it's going to be interesting to see how they branch off for Fable.
Oh, absolutely. And then I would say this is the last one we're going to go into. Just make it an Xbox-themed game. I mean, yes, some of these titles are a bit more mature, but I think you could you could take elements from all these games and make it an all ages appropriate title.
Oh, I think so. I mean, I think, just to go ahead and throw it out there, I mean, to me, yes, I mean, people are going to go, oh, they're just ripping off Mario Kart. Well, yeah.
Yeah, who cares?
I mean, Mario Kart's great.
I mean, who doesn't want to be Eddie Riggs from Brutal Legend driving a Warthog around Bowerstone where the clock tower is the finish line?
Yeah.
I mean,
well, and it'd be a way to lace in maybe some of the new games that are coming too.
Yeah.
You know what?
I mean, they could add those games in as they develop with Game Pass and everybody locked in. Just add different series.
So, I mean, if you're looking at it that way, I think that, I mean, to me, that makes the most sense because it's kind of you have to look at Nintendo as a model for these things because they are so successful when it comes to that. And it's kind of that, I mean, less so with Mario Kart, but if you look at like a Smash Brothers or something, me, for instance, specifically, I had never heard of any of the characters from Fire Emblem until I played Smash Brothers. And so it introduced me to a new series. So, okay, well, let's check this out. Well, Xbox, especially with the influx of the properties that they have coming in now with Bethesda, which Bethesda's still well known, and of course you have more of an avatar character versus a set character.
Yeah.
There are elements that you could put in there that would make sense.
Yeah.
But
I mean, you could definitely do some arenas based around Doom, and different things. I mean,
mix that with your, off the wall crazy characters from Double Fine. Throw in
Rare's backlog of Banjo.
Absolutely. Yeah, exactly. I mean, you would have just the weirdest mix of characters that way.
And that's a good thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I'm going to, because this crossed my mind when we were talking about doing Lego as a possible franchise that they could do a kart racer based off of.
Yeah.
I mean, they could do Minecraft.
Yeah.
I could make, so much, like if they wanted to do like a crafting stage, I mean, Minecraft makes a ton of sense.
Yeah. That'd be a great one. You got all different variations of Steve.
Yeah.
I mean, riding around in carts or whatever.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, so there's so
that'd
much they
make a
could
good
do.
battle stage.
While I think that, for sure, because you can make it destructible.
Yep.
Well, I like the idea of Lego, and I like the idea of Hot Wheels, and I do think that realistically, if they wanted to flip a product like in the next 2 years, Forza would be the way to go because you have so many assets that are already made between two incredibly talented studios. But I think the best way to go about it would be if you were going to do the actual, just completely rip off Mario Kart. I mean, yes, tweak the gameplay.
Yeah,
yes,
innovate it a bit. Yeah, make
come
it
up with
own.
your own ideas to make it feel unique. But even if it's just straight up, stealing from them in a lot of instances, if you make the tracks unique enough, if you include the right characters and give them the right amount of treatment, because again, and I know I keep going back to Nintendo, when you look at games like Mario Kart and you look at games like Smash Brothers, they are so in tune with making sure that those characters represent how they would act in their games, how they would fight in their games, how they would drive, how they would, walk. I mean, however you want to look at it, they are bespoke to their very own game.
Yeah, I just imagine, even if they blurred it out, which actually you could edit a lot of that stuff where you wouldn't see it in Brutal Legend as far as like the language and different things.
Oh, yeah.
It'd be funny just to see them, you got that Luigi stink eye, but you got the Eddie Riggs bird.
Yes, yeah. Well, and they could do that. They could go edgier with it. It could be a teen-rated game. The thing is these games, are timeless to an extent because it's the idea that anybody can pick up and play them.
Yeah,
and that's
imagine
fun.
a Psychonauts like almost platformer racer.
Yeah,
oh my goodness.
that was actually one of the first things that came to mind was if you could get Rasputin in a cart or whatever, like when you jump, you could have him telekinetically like float his car to whatever the next platform is.
Oh man, if you're listening, tell Phil Spencer we want this.
I mean, like it could be such a now is the time to do it.
Yeah.
If you're going to do it, I mean, yeah, it'd take a lot of tweaking and it would take a lot of work, and that's one thing that actually I think would make it unique compared to Mario Kart and thing is, we're going into a generation when we have more power under our hood, hardware-wise, than we've ever had before. So
more accessibility.
Even if it was something where they didn't necessarily do it with the Xbox One series, but they did it with the Xbox, new series coming out, it could be a really big thing just because you could maybe put more detail into it. Because when you look at Mario Kart, yes, there is, your bikes and your heavy cars and your light cars and things like that. You do have themes. Like if you play as Link, you can get the Epona motorcycle or whatever. But those aren't necessarily like defined by the character. Mm-hmm. Whereas with this, you could throw a warthog in there and have it still be a warthog.
Yep.
Just
and
driven by somebody else.
You could still do Forza,
yeah.
even within this game.
I would say that you'd still need it. Yeah, you have a Forza car in there with generic Forza driver or whatever. That'd be the equivalent of like a Mii.
Yep.
I mean,
that.
it's they really could. The amount of detail they could do if they wanted to do some sort of like track creator, I mean, that would be a bonus, but I don't think it's necessary.
I don't think it is either.
But the battle mode in a game like that could be phenomenal.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I would love... I keep on bringing it up, but, I mean, if you follow us on Twitter, we like us some Brutal Legend.
Yeah.
Just imagine, like, the chaos you could do with music and different things in a battle mode where there's, like, flames everywhere.
Just completely over the top.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe this would be something Double Fine could tackle. I mean, all the studios would probably have to put their heads together, and of course there's still going to be contract things that they have to go through, because even though they're all owned by Microsoft, it doesn't mean that they have complete creative control over everything. But I mean, who's going to fight something like this?
I mean,
who's going to...
If you're listening to this, you're probably an Xbox fan, and this is fanfare.
Yeah,
it's fanfare, and it's something that we're lacking on our console.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's games like this that are basically giant commercials for their properties, is what it is. I mean, realistically, at the end of the day, you can make a kart racer that is like Forza.
Yeah. And
yes, it'll be neat. Yeah, I'd like to see a Mustang go flying through a hoop and then sail across, this ravine and so on and so forth. But if you can do that, you do it with a lot of like hoopla and fanfare along with it, and it's a character that you either truly love and are attached to, or one that you've never really checked out before, and you're seeing and it gets your interest, it's a commercial.
Yeah, and I mean, it would just be cool to be racing around a track, as all these different characters.
And even if they wanted to, they could bring back the Xbox avatars and let you throw that in.
That'd actually be pretty funny.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing myself,
I'd prefer if they went with the old school ones myself, just because the new ones they haven't done much with.
Yeah, well, you put it behind an app, and I think people just lose track of it.
Yep.
I don't think I've messed with mine in quite a while. But I think the possibilities are there, and I think the results, if given the love and development, could just be... really when you think about going down the first-party stuff, I'm not that familiar with Wasteland. That's a glaring omission in my knowledge of the studios that Microsoft has picked up recently. Introduce me a character from that. Give me somebody with personality.
Even.
Give you a map, exactly. Give you a vehicle that seems themed around it. And you're going to bring interest to it. Can you imagine? I'm sorry, I'm just thinking of, Senua from Hellblade.
Yeah.
What kind of weirdness could you have her? You get voices telling you to turn left up ahead.
Yeah.
Maybe that's her special.
Turn left. You made the wrong turn. What were you thinking?
Do you listen to the voice in your mind? But maybe it gives her some kind of ability to know what's coming up in the track that nobody else would know. So instead of even doing things getting the mushroom to give you a superpower to go fast or something, maybe that's part of it. That's part of your strategy, kind of like how a fighter game goes, where it's your character has these abilities that maybe the other characters don't have, and there'd be a lot of balancing that would go into that.
Yeah. And this might be too much work to be worth it, but what about a Sea of Thieves boat racer level?
Oh, you absolutely have to have that.
Yeah.
Or at least a Sea of Thieves boat that you can drive, with a little pirate on it or whatever through these races. But I would love to see I mean, even if they just
maybe they have a speed up, it has a separate animation where the sails come out.
Oh, that would be amazing.
Flies.
Yeah, things like that would be absolutely wonderful. And you could put a generic pirate on there. It doesn't have to be your.
Or I mean, you could be anybody really.
Oh, that's
I mean,
true
the
too.
way they
yeah,
do it.
yeah. It doesn't
You
have
could
to
be Eddie
tied to the
Riggs.
cart. Yeah, that would actually be really. Man, that would be fun. The more I think about this, the more I want it.
Yep. Let's learn how to make games, John.
Yeah, I'm sure we're going to be able to turn that around within 5 years to get this out on a system. Nope. But I mean, there's a lot of possibility there, and the relationships that Microsoft's been building outside of that. I mean, they could reach out to it. I mean, realistically, if they wanted to, we've got EA coming to Game Pass, right?
Yeah.
Who's to say they don't want to go and crib somebody from EA and put your character in our game like Nintendo's done? Nintendo's done such a great job. And
I mean
I know
they even got
harping on
Snake and all
Nintendo,
kinds
but
of things in
yeah,
that game.
I mean, when you look at Smash is a history lesson in video games. I mean, like, there's characters on there that I'm like, I don't know who the heck this is.
Yeah.
And you find out about it, and it's like, whoa, this character's been around since the 80s. That is insane. So if Microsoft continuing to develop these relationships and continuing to grow Game Pass, I mean, what if they want to go get Dante from Devil May Cry and throw him in there? What if they want to reach out to a studio that they've got a working relationship with, but maybe aren't necessarily exclusive to? I mean, they could really, really do something with this.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And
yeah.
I mean, with the way that you can easily add content now, I mean, it'd be like, hey, here comes the new game from In Exile. Oh, yeah, we're also dropping a level.
Yep. Exactly, free
to
of charge.
Celebrate
Here's your
DLC.
DLC. Yeah,
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. Because and we've seen that.
Engaged.
We've seen that with like Sea of Thieves. Oh, the Battletoads could be in this.
Yeah.
Because they did the Battletoads theme, which I mean, I know they're both.
Oh, they have
properties.
Halo theme and like all kinds of stuff. They just randomly dropped in there to design your boat.
So I mean, these are things that they could really make feel unique. It doesn't. I guess I would say that it's almost like taking a combination of some of the, the mascot brawlers that we've seen out on the market, combining it with the kart racer, and then throwing the Xbox brands into play there. And it's just a big mix of chaos. And I think you could probably go a little bit, age it up a little bit if you wanted to. I mean, maybe not go for like the teen, but like isn't there like an E10 or something like that?
I think that's kind of the generic is E10, but I get what you're saying. Kind of in that ballpark where you might not want little kids playing it, but
yeah, that way you can
they
still have
probably
enough
see worse
edge
stuff
to
all
it
the time.
that the characters can be true. But at the same time, you want it to be accessible and
where
fun.
you can have chainsaws or different things in Doom, but maybe you don't show them slicing things as much.
Yes, yeah. I mean,
but you can
do that
run
cartoon,
into them, and
like Batman the animated series in the early to mid '90s, anyways, mid to late '90s.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a lot of action, but when they punched somebody, they didn't actually punch people. They'd be punching some sort of machine. So I mean, there's ways to work around things like that, and they could do that with this. And even if they did want to skew even older than that and get a teen rating on it, I mean, who's really going to argue about that?
Yeah.
Who's really going to have a fit with that? As long as you don't have heads being lobbed off and things like that, although that would be kind of funny.
Yeah,
but I'm sure that they don't want properties, beheading each other.
Yeah.
I mean, just the amount of characters they have at their fingertips right now, if they could coordinate that and make it work, build the worlds to support them, I mean, they really could. I mean,
the tracks really stand out.
Yes. I mean, they could build something really unique. And yes, people are, at the end of the day, they would still argue, no matter what, that it's just ripping off Mario Kart. But like I said, so what?
Yeah, I mean, obviously,
if it's good, and they're like, hey, this is balanced.
Yeah. We're huge Fable fans, and let's say they were to get something out like this before Fable. I mean, we'd be anticipating Fable a lot, but there'd be that part, man, I can't wait to see that track.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see that track.
Yep.
I wonder what characters they're going to use. Are they going to use new ones? Are they going to use old ones? Are they going to do both?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd love to have Jack of Blades in some kind of crazy like cart.
Yeah.
Like, and when I say cart,
and
I mean
like
a horse
Minecraft
and cart. Yeah, something like that. Or even, I mean, something that's will powered.
Yeah.
Would be absolutely amazing. I mean,
he could be riding like a little dragon thing.
Oh, ooh, yeah, that would be good too. And that's the thing. There's a lot that they could do there. It's just a matter of finding the right studio.
Yep.
And then getting everybody on board. Like, I don't think it's, we talked about how if they wanted to do this with Forza, they could flip that. I really do think they could flip that in like 2 years.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not a game developer. I don't know how these things go. But
it does seem like it'd be easier. I mean,
yeah.
Especially when you consider the Horizon series, which they got 2 games going right now, so their plate might be full. But I mean, you look at how much from like 3 to 4, and like they have all new maps and they add in new things, and they do that in 2 years, which seems really impressive to me how fast they flip it
it's
and
incredible.
Don't reuse as much.
The funny thing to me about those games and the talent in those studios is it's not like, the NFL is notorious for it with Madden, or EA to be specific, or
2K.
Even more egregious. I don't know if you've heard, but the FIFA game that's been released on Switch the last now 3 years running is the exact same game.
With roster updates.
Yeah. And they charge full price for that. I mean, like, there's...
And microtransactions.
There is grounds to call that absolutely lazy. And then you've got Forza, be it Horizon or Motorsport, who consistently, year over year, release quality games that get great scores and find new ways to innovate.
Yeah, in different countries.
And they've done that with things like
weather.
the Drivatar, which is something else that I think would be kind of neat to see in a kart racer.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know how applicable that is for other games, but it would be neat if, we're playing, and instead of me playing generic Master Chief, I'm actually playing Patrick, and how Patrick would play as Master Chief.
Yep.
That would be something else they could bring to the table that Nintendo doesn't have at their fingertips. Something to make it unique. Something to make it uniquely Xbox, or Microsoft, however you want to look at it.
Xbox.
But you do that, and then you take, you get a PC market there, and you get now the mobile market with xCloud, and I mean that. Like you said, the reason we feel like Blur failed in a lot of ways was because it didn't have the online infrastructure fan base to lobby around it. This gives you so many different avenues with very little compromise between any of it. That would be outstanding.
Yeah,
I mean, when you pitched
I'm more
this
excited
idea, I was
than
like,
when I started.
Yeah, that could be cool. And now I'm like, can we have this?
Yeah.
Is this something you can do for us?
I'm sad in
Me
a
too.
way because I want this game. I see where it can work. I mean, Mario Kart's weaknesses, as far as Nintendo's weaknesses, are Xbox's strengths.
Yeah.
As far
We've got
as
a
multiplayer and
online infrastructure. You throw this up on Game Pass.
Yeah, it would create a huge audience. Any one of these games, I think, would create a huge audience. But
and the thing is they've, Microsoft has, you'll have to forgive me, is it Bleeding Edge that is the kind of hero-esque shooter that's on Game Pass?
Yeah.
Made by
Ninja Theory?
Yes.
Yeah.
It came out and then it quickly got quiet. And I think it was because people didn't necessarily feel drawn in by it.
Yeah.
I think this would be a completely different beast. I think that when you have something that's an amalgam of all these different, or a culmination of all these different characters, it gives you the ability to go, even if there's just 1 or 2 franchises in there, you're at least going to dip your toes in to say, well, I want to see what this feels like.
Yeah. I'm not going to go too much into this, but you did give me a really weird idea of taking these established characters and making a hero shooter, but that's it. We're not going to talk about that anymore.
No, but I do think we should do like maybe a spin-off like fighter episode. Yep. Like, would we do it Smash? Would we do 2D, fighter style? How would we go about that? That could be a good show. Maybe we'll try to plan that in the future.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I've enjoyed this one.
And if you're still with us after us fangirling, boying, manning, childing through this whole thing, if you've got an idea for like a game that could be a twist, something that could bring in something uniquely Xbox, like a racer or something that they haven't done, and you want us to kind of jump into the idea or discuss, let us know. Hit us up on Twitter, hit our email. We'll give you the details for that later. Comment on YouTube. and join the conversation. And I mean, heck, if you inspire us to do a whole show, we will definitely throw you the credit, because it's, for us, a discussion. It's just fun. It's fun to speculate. It's fun to think about what could be, and it's fun to try to come up with ideas that maybe other people haven't thought of. And we would love that, just
and
because
if you're listening, we're probably all Xbox fans, and we just want to see great products and, have great discussions.
Yeah, and we're in a unique time where, I mean, yes, it was fun to be an Xbox fan during the 360 generation. It was trying during the last generation with the Xbox One series. And then we kind of rebounded with Games Pass and some things like that. But I think there's a good outlook ahead. And I think now, like as we said leading into this would be the perfect time for a racer like this.
Yes, absolutely. All these new IPs and
and what
so
a
much
perfect
to go
way to
off
introduce some of them.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so because my mind is just absolutely racing at this point, pun intended, would you, because there are so many different vehicles, for instance, in the Halo universe, like you've got your Banshees and you've got your Warthogs, just to name two right off the top of my head. Would you want it to be a racer that has the ability to have vehicles that could be airbound?
I guess that's more on the developers. Like, yes, but I mean, you don't want it to have so many options that it feels like it just doesn't work.
Or that it's too chaotic.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just thinking like it could be kind of neat to maybe have all of that going on. I mean, you'd have to make sure that the powers were honing, regardless of how it is. Like, you'd have to make sure that they were balanced in a way that whether you're in the air or down on the ground, that they would work effectively the same way.
Yeah.
But I do think that could be kind of neat, because it was it Diddy Kong Racing on the N64, which wasn't the best game, but it wasn't bad either.
No, I enjoyed it.
Yeah,
it had a lot of variety.
They gave you
to
the I believe it was a hovercraft, an airplane, and a cart.
Yeah.
That you could play as. If they could find a way to make that work, I think that could also be
even
a unique
if they were
twist.
their own separate levels. I mean, where you had a flying one and a boat one. I mean, if it's fun, do it. That's always been my thing.
Yeah. Sorry, it just occurred to me, so I thought that might be worth talking about. All right, so you ready to close it out?
Yep, let's wrap it up. And if you enjoyed this episode, be sure to bug Phil Spencer. You can find him at Xbox P3 on Twitter. And Aaron Greenberg. He's very active on Twitter. You can find him at Aaron Greenberg. That's 2 A's, Aaron.
Can we work together to make this a reality?
Yeah, I'd quit my job in a second. You wouldn't even have to pay me that much.
Let's power our dream.
Yep. We'd like to give a special thanks to those who helped contribute to the show. ZeroXP logo was provided by Jameson Johns. You can find him at behance.net/Jameson Johns. Music by Odd Reference. You can find him at facebook.com/odd.reference. You can find us on Twitter at ZeroXPWebcast, or feel free to email us at ZeroXPPodcast@gmail.com. If you're on YouTube, be sure to like, subscribe, and comment. I reply to all of them. You can find us on most major podcast sites. If we're not available on one of the ones you use, just let us know.
And as always, before we go, we like to give thanks to the people who inspire us to do our Fable show. Thank you, Dean. Thank you, Charlie. Thank you, Ted. Thank you, Damien. Thank you, Mike. And thank you, Xbox Pope. And until next time, just stay safe out there. Bye-bye. Bye-bye-bye.
I really want this game.
Bye-bye.